So often in learning, we're given a book and asked, what do you think? But the Labyrinth is it's an experiential learning tool where you're given a question, you're asked to walk, you're asked, what do you feel, rather than what you think. And that's it's a whole different ball game. My name is Gavin Shields, and I recently have completed a Master's of Learning, I'm calling it, although on paper it would be a Master's of Education here at Lakehead University. I was a graduate assistant throughout the Lakehead Labyrinth project, and behind my shoulder here, it's now in the ground outside the Faculty of Education here in Thunder Bay. So when I say the word labyrinth, or when people ask about labyrinth, probably the first thing that springs to mind is a maze. And a labyrinth is not a maze, it's almost the inverse of a maze. Whereas a maze is often rectangular, or it can be different shapes. A labyrinth is always circular. And a labyrinth is often 7 circuits or 11 circuits. And it's a circular path that leads around a center. And when you're walking labyrinth, you actually go into the labyrinth and you trust the path rather than trying to make choices at each crossroads. Right? So there's a path laid down for you. And through walking that path, you'll be led, you'll be guided right into the center. And in that sense, it's sort of a metaphor for what wisdom traditions or faith traditions have said about human life, right? It's like, you gotta trust who you are, where you are, and the journey you're on. And that you are being guided and supported. And it might not all make sense to you as you walk it, because walking labyrinth can be almost psychologically a pretty disorienting experience, because you go in and you do all these twists and turns and you're getting this view of the center, but it's like non-intuitive, you're not quite getting there. You can be really close, or you can be one circuit, one layer away, and then you're thrown right to the outside. So again, it's meant to be just this exercise, or this contemplative tool where you trust the path, you trust the journey you're on, and before you know it, you'll get led right out into the center, and that's the still point, right? That physicists might call a zero-point field, or many wisdom traditions like talk about being centered, being grounded, and that's what the Labyrinth is here on campus to assist. The biggest thing I learned, or the biggest thing I relearned over and over again throughout the last 3 years of completing this Master's was really that trust, right? Or to have faith in what is being learned and when it's being learned, and to go one step at a time too. And also to walk together with people, right? So I think I shared that through the last 3 years, I got married right near the start of the Master's. My wife and I bought a house. Then we introduced our first daughter to the world. And then a year later, my dog of 14 years, when I was 28, so half my life, I had to say goodbye to her, put her down. And then most recently, we just had our second child, a son was born. And so within that all, and trying to finish up the Master's, right, there's a lot there. But the Labyrinth, and sort of that metaphor of the learning journey, and life and trust, right? Like that was the biggest, I think, biggest learning, is just to trust the path I'm on, and to know that there's gonna be a lot of switchbacks, right? But it's all circling sort of the same source, same essence, and this is something I'm still learning, relearning, just to be centered, right into ground, and to be still within all the busyness that life has to offer. David Greenwood was my advisor for the Master's, and at the time he was the Canadian Research Chair in Environmental Education and Sustainability. I believe I wanted to work with Dr. Greenwood because David really supports authentic inquiry, right? Like having questions, right? Those questions come from us, but they also come from where we're from, right? The communities we're from. And if they're there, right, they're valuable to both ourselves in our life, but they might be of value to others too. So, I mean, my hope for the Lakehead Labyrinth project, speaks to and touches people with where they are, right? And that can be a really fun place. Like, a lot of this Master's was super fun working with David, a lot of it was really frustrating, right, as all masters are. But I really trusted David, right, to be a guide, to be a mentor. And I had a lot to learn in the community he was gathering. I believe I had a lot to offer there too, so it felt like a really good reciprocal learning journey. So on my degree, it will read, right, Masters of Education with a specialization in Education for Change. I like to talk about it as Masters of Learning, right, and the Education for Change being more so an internal learning journey, right, in the Labyrinth, as a symbol or a reflection of that, right? Here's the path I've been on the last 3 years here at Lakehead. It's complete now. I've reached the center of the Labyrinth, and the ability to reflect back, right, contemplatively, but also the ability to call all those parts of myself and my journey and those I've worked with and young family that I have now. It's almost like the fountain, like a fountain, right? It's like it comes from inside, or it's an inside job, is a term that my advisor David will use often, right? Change is an inside job, and everything we're seeing out in the world is a reflection of people's states of consciousness, right? All the conflicts or the uncontrolled growth, right? Or the compassion, right? That is out there daily that we maybe don't highlight so much, and we just need to gather back around that and remember. And to me, in my Education for Change journey, the Labyrinth was that gathering ground that's available here to anyone on campus and community, to remember, to call ourselves home.